Good evening. Apologies for the delay. I had some technical challenges. Yeah.
It's okay. I think we're just starting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, so we're going to start. So welcome everybody. There will still people will be joining, but we have already a big group of people. Around 150 people have reacted to this in a positive way. What I thought you would be nice if you're just in the chat. Please mute yourself if you're not muted yet. In the chat you can write all kind of messages, and we really would like just Simon did, write a bit down why you interested in this seminar. It's the first seminar or webinar like this, and a lot of people ask me questions for why the importance of Dutch language in India. Is that a colonial time or something still coming back? Can you explain me? And then I explained that there's a huge increase about Indians going to the Netherlands, IT persons and nurses going to Belgium. A lot of work is outsourced to India. So we also, Richa and I, discovered a huge increase in interest in the Dutch language. And I think we should organize things a little bit different. And for that we need a kind of community that we try to start building today. And today there's also a beautiful project starting next year. Manusha Kurupat is going to talk about that. I hope I pronounce it well, Manusha. She is a project in Kerala around the history of the Dutch language. Carlijn is from the Taalunie, who have a perspective about the international perspective. And Dr. Srihari is from the EFL Hyderabad, where they would like to start a master's degree in Dutch language. And Richa, I will give the word, and sorry, I forgot, Mr. Wieger Slachter, he is from the embassy, and I'm very happy that he is there because it's not a priority of the Dutch government, the promotion of the Dutch language, because but the reality is becomes more and more a kind of subject, and we would like at least start a discussion how we could maybe organize things better together with Taalunie and also with the government. So at the end, I will say a little bit more what is the plans for afterwards, what we're going to do after this webinar. But first, I would like to give the word to my colleague Richa, that Richa I admire a lot. She learned a lot Dutch herself, because there was never a good Dutch teacher in India. And at the end, when she was almost B2, I've been start helping her, let's so say. And so we have been working together the last, so my company is Dutch Roof, her company is Dutch Door. And we have been working together, and she's really somebody I will give hope for the future of Dutch language in India. So I would like to give the word to Richa to start to kick off. And
all right, thank you so much, Thomas. Sure. All right, a very good afternoon, evening to everyone. I see also people from a lot of places over here who are actually making this webinar successful for us. So a very good morning and a good afternoon to them too. A lot of time difference. A very warm welcome first to our guests today for making this e-meet finally possible and successful in India. A very long awaited webinar on Dutch language and its importance in India, a country which is the quintessence of multilingualism and cultural diversity. So a very warm welcome. I would like to start with a little crisp introduction about myself. Before that, I would really like to thank Thomas. He's been a guiding light in my career, in my development, in reaching new heights. And even Mariana Joshi Polderman from Adaptable Chennai, who's also been a blessing in disguise. Talking about myself a little, I finished my German studies from Goethe, and I finished my translation specialization from the Johannes Gutenberg University at Mainz, after which I came back to India. I joined a company. I was working as a translator. I started translating at the age of 18. And I then thought of probably just climbing the ladder up. After I started heading the foreign language department, I thought of actually upgrading my skills. That's how I started learning Dutch, because I thought Dutch and German are sister languages, quite similar. And so it was a tad easier for me. Though it was not as easy as I thought it would be, because as Thomas rightly said, we do not have any institutes in India to teach me Dutch back then in 2012 and 13. So the only way that I could actually learn by myself was by just seeing whatever is available online, because we did not have any material, no books were available here. I used to do so much research online, and I used to search on the internet. And what was funny was whatever I used to find on the internet, I used to learn from it. I used to just keep learning from everything available. And that's how I actually kept learning, learning, and learning continuously. And then I finally met Thomas, because of whom I could finally acquire my international certificate, CNAVT, the certificate for Dutch, which is acquired for foreigners usually in a foreign country if they want to pursue Dutch as a second language and as a foreign language. And after which I finally started teaching in 2015. I launched the Dutch Door in 2018. A lot of people have been reading my posts on LinkedIn, and I'm also the writer of the blog where people know me as the writer of the similarities between Sanskrit, Hindi, and Dutch, because this is something which will really help our country to have a lot of Hindi being our official language. We have a lot of interests where people want to learn the language using Hindi. So it's been a great journey, because there has been so much increase lately, especially in the past 2 to 3 years, where we see a steep rise. If I talk about the Indians, basically we have approximately 240,000 Indians who are staying right now abroad in the Netherlands, in Belgium, out of which, if I have to actually compare this, this is like the second largest community in Europe after UK. So out of these, if you see, we started off with just a small group with hundreds of students, and this was only at the Dutch Door. After which there was a sudden steep rise in the number of students aspiring to go abroad, to study Dutch, to pursue their careers, to probably get married. And there were a lot of other reasons. So as you see, a sudden hundreds of, bunch of students, and this was excluding the corporate figures that we see over here. If I ask myself who is actually the target audience and why do they study, why do they learn, there are a lot of universities which they are attracted by. We all have heard of TU Delft. It's a very famous university. KU Leuven, we have Erasmus, we have Rotterdam University, we have Maastricht. We have so many universities where students are aspiring to study, finish their masters probably. There are a lot of companies who keep outsourcing work. If I have to talk about some Dutch brands, let's say Unilever, Philips, Shell, Rabobank, ING, you name it. We have so many companies where people are actually not aware if these are Dutch companies. But now it started gaining so much popularity that people have actually started becoming aware of the language. A very, very important factor over here, which makes it paramount to learn the language, is we have so many documents coming in which are actually in Dutch. Flemish being another dialect which is spoken in the Flanders area, which is in Belgium, the northern part of Belgium. Apart from that, we have so many IT professionals. We have so many companies which have their offices in the Netherlands, in Belgium, and so many offices in India, which are of Dutch origin. Apart from that, a very good pointer over here, I would like to really highlight this, is we also have an India-Suriname-Netherlands relationship. Now, Suriname is actually a country which is located towards the south of America. They have Indians, or Hindustani as they call it, also from Indian descent. In Netherlands, approximately there are 20,000 people right now who are of Indian descent and Surinamese. Dutch is their formal language, first language, and they also know Hindi and speak in English also. A lot of marriages take place. People want to get settled down abroad. They have to learn Dutch, obviously, if you want to integrate better in the society. We have so many historical archives. Here, I would like Manjusha later to explain a little more and give us an insight into what this is about, our historical archives. And further, coming to the last part. So if I talk about the field of study, what are the courses that people usually want to follow abroad, especially the students that Thomas and I have been teaching over so many years? We see so many people who aspire to learn economics, business. At the second place, we have engineering, we have then social science. People, in fact, there are so many nurses going abroad, primarily to Belgium. We have taught so many dentists. There are so many job opportunities for nurses, which makes it again another reason, importantly, to learn Dutch, a foreign language, so that this can help them with their job opportunities. But before we get into this in more detail, I would like Caroline here to help us with understanding what exactly is the Dutch Union. Caroline, Thomas and I have been working for quite some time now, and we've actually had the opportunity and the honor of working with the Dutch Union, Taalunie, and we've even taken part actually in a survey that was carried out for non-university studies Dutch. So the Dutch Union is actually the body which promotes Dutch language education. But Caroline, could you help us understand a little more about this? What does exactly the Dutch Union do? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Riga. I will start to share my screen now. I hope.
Yes, Caroline is in the United States, so also because of the week, because this time is the week of the Dutch language. There's a reason that we do this now, and the Dutch language is everywhere, also in the United States. So.
Yes, indeed. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
not yet.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So I will change to the presentation mode. Thank you very much. And I would like to welcome you also on behalf of the Union for the Dutch Language. My name is Caroline Waterman, and I work for the Union, which is a treaty organization of the Netherlands, Flanders, and Suriname. And those are three of the countries where Dutch is official language. We were founded in 1980 with the purpose to develop and carry out policy for the Dutch language. So we are a public body. We work for the Dutch and the Flemish and the Surinamese government. We are active in several fields of language policy, but the special emphasis is on the support for the teaching of the Dutch language abroad. And that's always in formal education. So this can be primary and secondary schools, but also universities abroad. And of course, I will get back to that. First of all, I would like to thank Riga and Thomas for organizing this event. During the past weeks, I've seen that it was a lot of work. They've been very busy with it, and I believe it's important work. We have already seen in the Riga, her presentation, that the Dutch language plays an important role in India, and we will need more teachers to facilitate that role. So I'm very happy with your work. I wanted to start with just some basic facts about the Dutch language, but I will go through everything very quickly because my presentation is a bit long, and I will share it afterwards so you can take a look at the details yourself. Dutch is official language in 6 countries, 2 in Europe and 4 smaller countries in Central and South America. The language has about 24 million speakers. And in the Taalunie countries, Flanders, the Netherlands, and Suriname, it has a very strong position in day-to-day life and in almost every domain of life. And different from what people in the Netherlands and Flanders know, the language also plays an international role. Every year, more than 45,000 people are learning and studying the language outside the Dutch language area. And most of them you can find in the neighboring countries of the Dutch language area, in the west of Germany, the north of France, and in primary and secondary education, and also in universities. But besides, Dutch is studied at an academic level worldwide in 40 countries, in 135 departments, and every year there are about 13,500 students in higher education. As we take a closer look at the map of those departments, you can see that Dutch is concentrated in certain areas. Most, of course, in Europe. Central Europe is very, there's Dutch studies very big. In United States, where I am now, also related to Dutch studies. South Africa is, of course, a place where many people learn and study the language because Afrikaans is a sister language of Dutch. It's a very similar language, so most students of Afrikaans also learn Dutch. And then there is, of course, Indonesia and a few programs in China. This is a bit an old map, so I added a small error here in India. It moved a little bit not in the right place, because 2 years ago, the University of Hyderabad also started a Dutch course and program, and we will hear more about that later, I expect. Unfortunately, the teacher there had to leave, so we are looking for replacement for him, for someone with a master's in Dutch studies. So this is one of the aims also of this webinar. People in the Netherlands and Flanders are always very, very surprised that so many people outside their country studies Dutch. And then the next question is why? Why would people learn Dutch abroad? And well, as Riga already told, there are many, many reasons to learn Dutch. And they are all present in India as well, I think, as Riga has shown. And I think very important reasons are economic reasons, working and studying in the Low Countries, and Dutch as a source language. Riga already told that to you. And later in this webinar, we will hear more, I expect, about Dutch as a source language. What many people don't know is that not only in India or in the United States, but worldwide, there are archival documents in the Dutch language as a result of the fact that the Netherlands were a sailing and trading and unfortunately also a colonizing nation. So what kind of support do we have for Dutch departments abroad? And here I'm talking about Dutch departments in universities and higher education. I will go to it a bit quickly because we have many other speakers. But in short, we have support for teachers mostly, and for departments, for networks of departments, and for students. For teachers, we have all kinds of didactic support, refresher courses, but also research grants. And we support also their membership of regional and thematical networks with Dutch teachers from other countries, departments, and regions. For academic Dutch departments, they can receive, when they are accredited, an annual basic grant that they can spend in a way that is useful in support of their education. So it can be buying books or magazines or inviting guest speakers. They can also apply for project grants and subsidies. And a very important one here for India is that we can pay a top-up allowance for teachers from the Netherlands and Flanders who are going to work in lower wage countries. And this is to to take away constraints for them to go to work in a lower wage country. And we also have startup grants for new academic programs and departments. So this could also be important here in India. We also find it very important that those departments and teachers collaborate, because often Dutch studies is a small scale affair, small programs with one teacher, two teachers, and no one can have all capacities and competences and possibilities alone. So it's very important to work together to get things done. Well, I don't know what happens. And then we have activities for students, summer courses we support. There is a Dutch certificate, CNAVT, a certificate of proficiency of Dutch as a foreign language at several levels. And a very new initiative is that we are setting up an international network for students of Dutch studies worldwide. And it is very motivating for students to be in touch with other students of Dutch in many other countries. All these supports come together in an online platform that we launched last year, mijnnederlands.taalunie.org, where you can find everything. So you can go there, create an account, and look around. There are some links to information about the support I presented, and links to our social media where you can follow us and learn more about what we are doing. And I would like to finish by saying that I see many, many opportunities and also many challenges for the Dutch language in India. And it requires a lot of effort to address all those challenges and make use of those opportunities. And in my view, the best way to do that is to collaborate with everyone, every organization involved in the Dutch language in India. And we will be very happy to play our role in that collaboration. So thank you very much. And I try to stop sharing my presentation.
And add to Caroline's point over here about collaborating and working together. Thank you so much, Caroline, for the lovely presentation, and it was very informative and helpful. Another important reason actually why we have all gotten together here, and also which Thomas and I share in common, is we are also looking forward to, we're aspiring to set up a central point, a Dutch Center for Studies in India, where we all can collaborate, we can have the teachers, we can have things more streamlined. And obviously the material, a very important part of Dutch studies in India is that we need material that is readily and easily available in a streamlined manner for the entire country. But I would like Thomas to elucidate this point more towards the end of our webinar. So we now take it forward from here. Thomas, would you like to say something? You're on mute. I should. Okay. Just unmute you. Okay, a technical glitch.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Because I was just adding something to my slides, what I present at the end. Because so very interesting that Carlijn talked about the International Network for Dutch Studies. So I think a good follow-up of this seminar could be that we create maybe the Indian Network for Dutch Studies. So it could be collaborating then that way. So that I was trying to add to my slides at the end. But so that's why I'm a little bit, I was not reacting directly. But so that's, thank you very much, Carlijn, very interesting. I think I would like to give the word now to Mr. Wieger Slachter from the Dutch Embassy. Who could maybe introduce a little bit yourself, what you're doing in this domain at the Dutch Embassy.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Wieger Slachter, and I'm first secretary at the Political Affairs, Public Diplomacy and Culture section of the Netherlands Embassy in New Delhi. I am responsible for political affairs, including bilateral affairs, but also for public diplomacy and culture. And that is, of course, closely linked to the issue of the Dutch language. Now, I would like to first, I would like to say something about why it may be relevant for people from India to learn Dutch. Of course, the Netherlands is a relatively small country where almost everybody speaks English. So what is the point of learning Dutch? I will mention 5 issues here. First, the Netherlands is a major powerhouse. And there are many Indian companies and businessmen active in the Netherlands and vice versa. So there are strong economic links. That has already been mentioned. While English is the language of business and economics worldwide, if you do business in the Netherlands, it does help a lot if you do speak the language, even if it is only a little bit. It helps to open more doors to smooth relations. And most importantly, it helps you to understand what people are really gossiping about you. So when you are negotiating, it helps if you can understand what the other side says to each other. Just that's which may be an economic advantage. Second, the Netherlands and India have multifaceted relations. We have, of course, very strong economic relations, trade, investment. I don't have the figures here at hand, and that is not so relevant. But of course, there is very intensive trade. Rotterdam is the largest port in Europe. Many Indian goods, they enter Europe through Rotterdam. So the Netherlands is a very important hub for Indian business. So, but apart from that, we also have cultural links. We have tourists coming to the Netherlands. We have students coming to the Netherlands. We have educational links. We have links in many respects. And of course, the more people speak Dutch, the more intensive our relations will be. So that is the second reason. The third is that there are thousands of Indian students and businessmen who live, work and study in the Netherlands. The Netherlands is very popular among students. While most study programs are in English, and basically you can use in everyday life. Of course, if you live and work in the Netherlands and to establish good contacts with your fellow students and colleagues at work, it helps a lot if you do speak Dutch. And also if you go out on the street, it makes your life and your work and study so much more productive and also enjoyable if you do speak the language of the country. There are thousands of Indian people living, studying, and working in the Netherlands. The fourth reason I would like to mention is that we have a very large community of Dutch persons of Indian ancestry. Most of them have come to the Netherlands via Suriname, as many Indians have migrated first to Suriname more than 100 years ago, and from Suriname to the Netherlands. The Indian diaspora community in the Netherlands is around 100,000 people. Of course, numbers vary, but it is pretty large. Oh, there's a strange sound here.
Okay, so the
Hello?
mute, sorry. Because the mute, please. Okay, sorry. Everybody mute.
Okay,
please.
sure. Okay, so they have close links. They have close cultural links with India, but their main language is usually Dutch. So in order to establish contact with the Indian community in the Netherlands, which, by the way, is the largest Indian community in the EU and the largest in Europe after the UK, it also helps if people can speak Dutch. So it helps to establish links with the Indian diaspora in the Netherlands. Fifth, historically, there have been close relations. And as mentioned before, there are many historical documents and archives written in Dutch, which relate to India and which provide a lot of unique information about India, about Indian history, about Indian politics, about Indian economy in former times. So, colleague from the Cosmos Malabaricus project will say more about it, so I will not say much about it. But for those who are interested in the history of India, Dutch is a very important source language for the study of Indian history. So these are 5 major reasons. Now I want to say something shortly about what the embassy can do and what the embassy does to promote the study of language. The short answer is not very much. We have very limited means available to do so. We have no financial means, but we do have a cultural program under which we can fund some small-scale cultural projects. And some of them could also include, for example, exchange of writers, of poets. So it could be, there could be some literary projects, master classes, writers in residence. These are projects which could be supported through the cultural program of the embassy. So there are possibilities for support under certain conditions. Secondly, as I mentioned, many Indians go to the Netherlands for study of work. Well, naturally speaking, the embassy plays an important role in providing information about study opportunities in the Netherlands, as well as facilitating travel through consular services. That is, of course, also an important function of the embassy. So these are some of the functions some of the support we give. It is, of course, limited, but of course, we value the fact that many Indians are so interested in the Dutch language, and that can only help to further deepen relations between our 2 countries. And with that, I would like to give the floor to our colleague from the Cosmos Malabaricus project, who will tell you everything about old Dutch archives and what they can tell about Indian history. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Manju,
Yes, yeah. Thank you very much, Meneer Weger. So I shall first share my screen initially.
Yeah. Great.
And I'll just start my presentation. Right, so thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present here. My name is Manjusha, and I'm the Secretary of the Cosmos Malabaricus Project, which I shall explain in some detail as I go into my presentation. And I'm also a postdoctoral scholar. I'm a historian and a postdoctoral researcher on the Globalized Project in Amsterdam, which again aims at making the Dutch East India Company archives more accessible to people around the world. So my presentation today is titled Read Dutch, Rediscover Indian History. So let me open my presentation with 3 images. So this is a print of Surat, which featured in a travel account of the Dutchman named Peter van den Broeke. So Peter van den Broeke had visited Asia and Africa in the 1630s. And his book, which carried this image, was published in Amsterdam in 1634. Now, this is a print with an illustration of Cochin and the description of the conquest of the city by the Dutch in 1663. And this is a portrait of the Mughal Emperor Jahangir, which was drawn in the 1650s by the renowned Dutch artist Rembrandt, based on a Mughal miniature. So what is common about all of these 3 works is the fact that they're all products of the presence of the Dutch East India Company in India in the 17th and 18th centuries. The Dutch East India Company, otherwise known as the VOC, was set up in 1602 in the Dutch Republic, or what is today the Netherlands. It traded with and in Asia in spices, textiles, porcelain, tea, opium, and a variety of other commodities. And the company was so successful in its trade that it conquered or established trading posts in Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Japan, Iran, and Taiwan. So what you see on this map explains the presence of 2 companies, that is the Dutch West India Company and the Dutch East India Company. So whatever you see to the east of the Cape in Africa was essentially the commercial as well as the domain of conquest of the Dutch East India Company. Now in India, the VOC exercised significant influence over Cochin and Nagapattinam, which were formerly under Portuguese control. They signed treaties with local rulers and established trading posts in Surat, Bengal, and numerous places on the Coromandel and Malabar coasts. And the company only lost its prominence in the Indian subcontinent at the end of the 18th century because of the growing influence of the English and because the company ceased to exist in 1799. Now, the history of the VOC is fascinating, but what is equally important is that this company has left behind nearly 200 years worth of reports and administrative correspondence in various archives around the world. And these are an indispensable source for exploring and rediscovering the history of India. Or in fact, you could arguably state that the Dutch East India Company archives is perhaps the largest archive that we have for rediscovering the history of India in the 17th and 18th centuries. And this archive runs into thousands and thousands of pages, which offer insight into political and economic developments in India, its social and cultural phenomena, the weather, death, disease, and history of the everyday. But despite the incredible relevance to Indian history of this archive, and the fact that a lot of this archive is now available online, they are not accessible to Indian historians because they are written in early modern Dutch. And more importantly, very few people are even aware of the fact that such an archive exists or that the Dutch were ever in India. So I too was unaware of such a rich history of interaction of the Dutch with India until I decided to pursue a master's degree in Leiden University about 15 years ago. And I enrolled in the Encompass program, which recruited Asian students to learn Dutch to be able to explore Asian histories. So in Leiden, I followed a rigorous program in the Dutch language. while pursuing a master's in history, and subsequently decided to also take up a doctoral degree. So for my research, I studied about the presence of the VOC in India, Java, and Taiwan. And one of my research topics was a play written in Amsterdam in 1745 about Nadir Shah's invasion of Delhi that took place in 1739. And yes, the Dutch had written about this event too. And what you see here is a page from the Dutch East India Company archives, which describes this invasion in great detail. So the Encompass program that I was a part of and subsequent programs like the Cosmopolis, all of which were led by Leiden University, they sought to familiarize Asian students with the VOC archives through Dutch language learning. But the size of the archive is such that we need still more historians to discover the true value of these sources in writing histories of India. So this initiative will therefore be continued by the Cosmos Malabaricus. The Cosmos Malabaricus is a project at the Institute of History at Leiden University in collaboration with the Kerala Council of Historical Research, the Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit Studies, the National Archives of the Netherlands, and the State Archives Department of Kerala. It aims to make the VOC archives on Kerala, which roughly covers a period from 1650 to 1800, accessible by removing the language barrier. It will teach students how to read the archive and discover its potential in writing histories of Kerala and histories of the region's interaction with the wider Indian Ocean world. And the project aims to achieve this by further developing inventories of the archive, by transcribing, translating, and editing a selection of sources to produce a series of source publications, and by training Indian archivists and historians in the use of Dutch archives for the purpose of further research and heritage studies. Now, this project is envisaged as a 7-year project. And starting from 2023, the project will recruit 2 Indian student researchers every year for a period of 3 years. And these students will pursue a master's degree in colonial and global history at the University of Leiden. And this will include courses in the Dutch language and paleography. And after graduation, these 6 researchers will continue to work on the project for 2 more years as KCHR fellows, possibly as part of a PhD project at Leiden University or another Indian university. And as part of their master's training, they will also undertake an internship at the National Archives in the Netherlands. And for the last 3 years of the project, 2 students from Leiden University will also arrive in Kerala to undertake internships with the Cosmos Malabaricus project. And the project will additionally organize a 2-week summer school every year on the history of Kerala, as well as Dutch sources on Kerala. And these summer schools will be conducted either at the Kerala Council of Historical Research or at Leiden University. And the Cosmos Malabaricus project in India will be based at the Kerala Council of Historical Research's office in Pattanam, which is near Cochin. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak here. And I hope to have sufficiently illustrated the value of the Dutch East India Company archives in accessing Indian history, as well as the importance of learning Dutch in order to be able to read these archives. And I also hope to have introduced the Cosmos Malabaricus project to you and look at this presentation as an opportunity to connect with other partners who are also interested in encouraging Dutch language learning in India. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Nusha. Great. I got just to know Nusha just things, and I was really interested. Also, spoke with the Professor Jos in the Netherlands. So a really great initiative. And next year you start an office in Kerala, I understood. Huh?
Yes, that's right. So, the project has begun informally.
Yeah, please go on. And then
sorry. So the project has begun informally, but of course, the first recruitments of students will begin next year. Yeah. But this year we will be recruiting the program director, who will be based in Cochin, as well as a research assistant, and the advertisements have already gone out. So we expect to appoint in the next 2 months.
Yeah, great to know that next year there will be some physical setup about Dutch language in India, but it's not there yet. And that's also a good bridge to the next presenter, Dr. Srihari. Carlijn already told that 2 years ago there was a start to set up a Dutch master degree course in Hyderabad, but the teacher had to go because of Corona, became very complicated. So one aim is for this webinar is also to maybe start in 2023 then finally with such a master degree. And it would be also nice that we have another setup in India where Dutch language is important. And that way we would like to build up a center of an Indian network for Dutch studies in India. Dr. Srihari, please go ahead. Looking forward to your presentation. So I visited, maybe I can say I visited last year the University in Hyderabad, and I was so impressed because thousands of students who study so many languages together, a big campus, a language from all over the world, but not Dutch yet. So I felt bad. So I hope this will, after this, it will end. That frustration. So maybe Dr. Srihari, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming together on this platform for this very special webinar. I'd like to thank Richa, Thomas, and others who are involved in organizing this webinar. I feel honored and privileged to represent my university as Deputy Dean, International Relations. I'd like to focus on just 2 things for my presentation. One is what are the facilities and programs that we have at our university, and the other is our readiness and willingness to offer Dutch programs on our campus. So you can see this is our campus at Hyderabad. So it's headquartered in Hyderabad, southern part of India, and we have 2 regional campuses, one in Lucknow, northern part, and the other in Shillong, northeast part. So ours is a central university established by an act of parliament. So our mandate is to run courses and programs in English and foreign languages and promote intercultural understanding of civilizations. So to this end, we have focused on certain domains like languages, literatures, and cultures in the global scenario. And to realize our mandate and vision, the EFL University has been successfully running several courses and programs, both in English and foreign languages. We've had collaboration with several national and international universities. We also run MOOCs at UG and PG level. In recognition to our outstanding efforts, the UGC and the central government assigns us different projects and activities, and we've earned the reputation nationally and globally. So you can see recently our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor E. Suresh Kumar, interacted with the officials and members of several universities in preparation of a blueprint for the implementation of the National Education Policy 2020. We also have collaboration and MOU with the NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation of New Delhi. And some of our faculty members visited Varanasi, where we have National Skill India Center, which skills the youth and youngsters, those who are interested in going abroad. So these are some of the tasks that are assigned to us from time to time. To spearhead our activities nationally and internationally, the EFL University has 7 schools and 26 departments in all. You can see some of the schools like School of English Language Education. It has many departments. I don't want to go through all of them because we are running short of time. So I thank the participants for their patience. I'll just quickly run through these slides. These are pretty easily you can understand the information. We have School of Literary Studies, School of Interdisciplinary Studies, School of Distance Education, and School of European Languages and Arab and Asian studies. Well, the idea behind presenting this information is that we've been offering several courses in many foreign languages at our campus. We also have PG courses, UG courses, and also teacher education programs and PhD programs for English and foreign languages. As you can see, some of the PhD programs in foreign languages include Arabic, French, Russian, German, and Spanish. We generally start our foreign languages with 3 levels of courses. One is the Certificate of Proficiency. We offered this program in the Dutch language also, as Carlin has pointed out. And the next level, we offer diploma and advanced diploma courses. And then the regular programs, BA, MA, and PhD programs. So we are, EFLU boasts of many facilities. Some of the key facilities include the Green Campus, well-equipped classrooms, state-of-the-art library, multi-purpose sports complex, open-air amphitheater, well-furnished hostels and gymnasia, health center, music club, English club, theater club, and enabling unit. And bilateral discussions and signing MOUs is a regular feature of our university. In this picture, you can see our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor E. Suresh Kumar, interacting with the foreign delegates. So these are the different activities that take place, and our students enjoy the facilities that the EFLU offers. Things like open-air gym facility, open-air amphitheater, multi-purpose sports complex, and library for all disciplines and subjects. You can see a section of a library which is allocated to books related to foreign languages. And our students enjoy the campus facilities such as the lush green campus that you can see here. And we have several units which work tirelessly to realize our mandate and our vision. EMMRC produces e-content. International relations, which I'm part of, connects the university with other universities and corporate entities nationally and internationally. And we have this ITP, which is currently training officials of Myanmar, which is a 8-week program we are conducting right now. We are offering this particular program in improving the English language skills of Myanmar officials at basic and intermediate level. And we also have CCLT, which offers tailor-made training programs to various organizations and institutions. And we also have several other units. We have 2 free digital offerings. One is English Pro to help the learners improve the accent of English, especially Indian English pronunciation in the unique Bharatiya way. And we also have OLL Arts in Chinese, French, German, Japanese, and Spanish. So our students get to benefit immensely from our courses and programs. They get admission in colleges and universities of repute in India and abroad. They get into research programs in top universities across the world. And they also work with IT companies, publishing houses, and prominent educational institutions. Most of the foreign language students work as interpreters and translators. So we have University Industry Hub, where we'll try to upgrade our courses, sync them with UG and with the industry requirements. We offer customized courses to enhance students' employability. Our campus placement cell works very actively to help our graduates land their coveted jobs. We also have the experience of offering COP in Dutch, as Richa Caroline and others have already spoken about the importance of Dutch language. Here are just a few facts. Dutch is spoken as the first language by 25 million people, about 25 million people, and as the second language by 5 million people. We ask our students, why do you want to learn a foreign language? They say that we just want to experience learning a foreign language. We want to know about the other culture. For example, those who are willing to learn Dutch would want to experience Dutch and Flemish culture. They may want to travel, study, work in Netherlands and Belgium. As per the Ministry of External Affairs estimate, there are about 180 Indian companies that are currently present in the Netherlands, and over 115 Dutch companies have their presence in India. So this speaks volumes about why people in India should get interested in learning Dutch. So it offers a lot of opportunities such as translation and interpretation. And specifically, I'd like to focus on the project that we undertook, that is Dutch at a Flu. We ran this program for about 2 semesters. Professor Christopher Joby conducted this program online. It was a certificate of proficiency in Dutch. The students who passed this course were even ready to do the next level, that is the diploma in Dutch. But as Caroline pointed out, for some reasons, we were not able to continue this. So the idea why we're on this webinar is to express our interest that we as EFL University would like to add Dutch as a foreign language to our repertoire of foreign language courses and programs we already have. And we would welcome setting up of a Dutch language center on our campus. Since ours is a central university, the Ministry of Education, Government of India takes the call in establishing the Dutch Center. We hope they'll give us required funds and faculty positions, especially a teacher with an MA in Dutch, so that we can continue our COP and take it to the next level of diploma and advanced diploma levels. We hope to offer excellent opportunities for the teaching and learning of the Dutch language. So with this, I conclude my presentation. So thank you all for your patience.
So thank you very much, Dr. Schiari. Yeah, so we're running a little bit late. It's not because of you, Dr. Schiari, because altogether the program. So I just have a few minutes only to share a final thing. So if you want to leave, maybe you can wait a few minutes, then I just share my screen for the follow-up of this meeting, because that's important. Why we are doing this is not what I want to share. Okay, this is what I want to share. Yeah, so again, I was already thinking that it would be probably running a little bit late. So just just to say, I'm already 18 years in India myself. Frankly, I have a law degree, so but I always wanted to study Dutch when I was young, and my father said study law. But I always have a love for the language, and I'm very eager, maybe a little bit like a legacy, to set up a kind of Dutch center like this, or what I just heard, the Indian Network for Dutch Studies. We could maybe start. So I love the language, and I love to teach. Also, last 10 years I have been teaching. And also I feel in this field I can make a difference. What Wieger already told, that Wieger from the embassy told that the Dutch government is not really a priority to do this. So we have to convince them with a big mass of people who want to do something with Dutch language. We hope that India we could find some masses of people maybe to do it. So we're going, so I'm really happy that we have some pillars under a network already, or it could be developed in the future. So post-webinar objectives, work towards creation of a center of Dutch language in India, or maybe an Indian network for Dutch studies that maybe what could collaborate with the international network for Dutch studies, what the Taalunie is organizing, the language union is organizing. We need more Dutch language teacher. What Rich already said, we have maybe 500 applicants. We cannot do anything. We have to say the whole time, no, no, no to people. Oh, I'm not able to. Are you still seeing my screen?
No,
We can see
Thomas.
you, but not your presentation.
It's always the same problem. From one of the former students, actually. So no, Thomas. Okay, so post-West objectives. So we need to have Dutch language teachers, maybe train the trainer program, materials we need to do it. So there's nothing at the moment organized. We need to have some kind of organization. It cannot be the same like the Max Müller, what maybe used to, or the Alliance Française, because no, it's just a little bit too small for that. Well, again, too big to do nothing. So that's a little bit where we are now. And again, we would like connect like other initiatives like presented by Manusha and Dr. Srihari. So that's really great if it could start next year. And then we could also maybe set up our network that time. So we need to have some pillars. Sorry. And then the last, yeah, so more concrete, there's some initiative planned for October, November, of November, so probably November, December. Oh, sorry. So I'm going a little bit too fast because I think you all want to go home and I still want to make my point. So of home, you want to do something else. So so Alice, you can contact us, and we will happy to if you want to be involved in this process. And again, in Bangalore, we have some follow-up event November, December. We try to do it with the Dutch Business Circle. Yeah, I'm part of I'm sector manager for education from the Dutch Business Circle in Bangalore, and so I made it also a priority, Dutch language, because it also has to do with business. And I'm not doing it for my business. I'm really doing it after I feel there's so much need, so I don't have to make any money out of this or something. But it's just like I say, after 18 years in Bangalore, here I can make a difference. So yeah, hopefully 2023. The office in Kerala, hopefully in Hyderabad, we can start with a Dutch master degree. And if you're a volunteer in any way, it could be become board member or something if you need a board, I don't know, or volunteer or website maker, whatever. If you want to be involved in this Dutch Indian network for Dutch studies, if I call it now, then we are really welcome to contact us. So there you can find our email IDs for Richa and me. Then I think I would like to give the final word to Richa, who has done also a lot of work to set us up. So Richa, maybe you want to have the final words. Also good to final word for a lady, and for sure an Indian lady. So Richa, do you want to have the final words? If you're still there. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm on mute. Yes. Okay. I'm sure everyone can hear me now. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I see a lot of nods. Thank you so much for making this event so successful. The first event, which is very informative and extensive on Dutch language. And it's been all possible because of our guests today. It was a joint effort, especially from the Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands in India and from the Dutch Union. And we also have our upcoming projects in Kerala and Hyderabad. So I would really like to thank each one of you and also my attendees here. So we have a lot coming up with a lot of follow-up events. And as Thomas already mentioned, we would be very eager to receive a lot of more follow-up actions coming in from a lot of people who've attended this. We've also recorded this webinar so that we can even post it and people also can see this, watch this later. We would be eagerly also awaiting your support so that we can actually take the Dutch language in India to new heights. So a very, very big gratitude to everyone here. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Caroline, who's working also in odd hours for us and making this really possible. And thank you so much, Dr. Srihari and Manjusha and Vikhesh Lakhtar and everyone. Thomas, finally, yeah, it's been a long way we've come. And we'll be taking a little follow-up. I do not really see many messages that have questions. So I think we are saved on that bit of the time, but we're always open to answer your questions, and you know where to find us again on the required email IDs. We thank you so much.
Thank you, Richa, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.